Hey Jacksonville, I'm broker Bryce, and welcome to the very first episode of Buzz on Real Estate, where we're going to be talking about what's the buzz on real estate in Jacksonville. And for our very first guest today, we have got the one, the only, Dylan Clark. Thanks for being on here, brother.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Bryce.
Of course. So Dylan Clark is a longtime friend of mine and an absolute killer in real estate, and I'm so happy that he's the first guest on the show. I would love for you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, and then I'll have a couple more questions for you.
Awesome. Well, first off, I want to thank you, Bryce, for having me here on the show. Extremely grateful and blessed for all the opportunities that have come to me since the end of the year last year. It's just been a crazy whirlwind of assuming this new role, stepping into more of a leadership position inside of our company, and just getting the opportunity to pour back into my agents and to really expand my growth and my role inside of, all things real estate.
Awesome. And for the viewers that have no idea what you're talking about, what exactly is your role?
Yeah, so currently I'm working between Northeast Florida and Valdosta, Georgia, under the Coldwell Banker Anabasis and Coldwell Banker Premier branches. What I've been doing is still, while maintaining my full-time status inside of real estate, helping buyers, sellers, all the way from first-time home buyers to last-time home buyers. I've also been helping out agents with getting their start in the business, figuring out what it means to not only be a real estate agent, but to, for all intents and purposes, run their own business. Yeah. And also bringing new technology, new strategies, and just new ideas to some agents that have been in the business maybe even longer than I have as well too.
So you're doing a lot. Tell me, what is it that you love the most about what you're doing now?
Oh, that's such a good question. There's so many things to love about real estate. I have to say, just overall, it's helping people. Truly getting to see the amount of time and effort that I pour into the agents, getting them results, and seeing how much it's impacted their own success and their own business, and then getting the opportunity to constantly do check-ins with them to see how it's impacting their business and just watch the growth of everyone around me.
It sounds like you have a big heart and you like pouring into people and watching them grow. So cheers to that.
Cheers.
And cheers to all your hard work.
Absolutely.
And thank you for being here. So let's start at the beginning, right? When did you get into real estate and why?
Yeah, so actually, interestingly enough, I was born of the COVID market. Like a lot of other agents that currently are working here in Northeast Florida and South Georgia. What initially brought me into real estate was my drive to just overall help people and find a way to merge my two interests of business administration and marketing, which funny enough was my two majors at Flagler College. So okay. I initially moved here after growing up in Lake Mary, Florida, to go to Flagler College in St. Augustine. Just absolutely fell in love with that town and everything that it means to the community and to the state. For those of you that don't know, it's the oldest city in the entire United States. So a tremendous amount of history there, and just the fact that there's so much to do in the downtown area while also being right on the edge of two very, very popular beaches just made it feel like it was the perfect place to go to school. And I promised myself that once I eventually flew the coop, left the nest for all intents and purposes, that I would keep pushing forward and that I wouldn't end up back in my hometown. So once I graduated from Flagler College, the job market was extremely topsy-turvy with quarantine and the 6 feet and how much people had recently transitioned to working from home. So I still wanted to find an opportunity to help people. And I felt like real estate was the perfect intersection of being able to run my own business, control my own income, but also be able to market myself and see the results of that, not only for me, but for the people that I was able to help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell the viewers, what would you say coming into real estate was some of the hardest obstacles and challenges that you had to overcome, starting as a new agent, transitioning into sales, and then coming all the way into leadership roles where you're at? Because to have a leadership role and to build up agents and pour into them, you have to have the knowledge and experiences of making your way all the way through and making it to the other side from being a new to an experienced agent.
Yeah. The first thing I'd like to say is that, real estate is no joke, and it's definitely not for everyone. There are a ton of challenges and a lot of, opportunities to look forward to when it comes to real estate, but I think everybody kind of has a different idea in their head of what real estate agents do. And for the majority of people, I have to say, they probably don't understand all that it goes into it.
Yeah.
So really just for me, my parents actually still live in the same house that I was born into and grew up in. So we didn't do a whole lot of moving around. I didn't really know a lot of what real estate had involved when I was first getting into it. So I have to say that the biggest challenge and just obstacle that I faced was truly treating it like a business and understanding that if you don't treat it like you're opening your own restaurant and you really get, everything that you put into it is what you are able to get back out of it. So just overcoming kind of that 9 to 5 mentality that school had always kind of put me into, constantly trying to strive and reach and just, always feeling like there's more that can be done. And once I understood that, that's when I really saw my real estate career start to take off. So that was the biggest thing.
Awesome. So tell me, coming from your first brokerage, now coming over to work with me at Coldwell Banker Anabasis, what has been some of the things that you would say that you've seen that have made a significant impact on real estate in Northeast Florida by some of the initiatives that we're doing and some of the growth that we're experiencing?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, having the opportunity to be with a global and nationally recognized real estate brand has been something that has done wonders for my career. And truly, not only the resources that we have at Coldwell Banker Anabasis and Coldwell Banker Premier in Valdosta, but the national and global community of Coldwell Banker agents is truly something that I never, expected when I first joined the team. And I think really the biggest part of my move over to this company was all of the technology initiatives that I get to be a part of and just be on that cutting edge of real estate. Because I know it's kind of a cliche saying at this point that a lot of people think that AI will replace real estate agents, and a lot of people do say that it's not going to be AI replacing real estate agents, it's going to be the agents that utilize AI replacing the ones that don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I think that there's a human touch that just can't be taken out of the transaction because it's emotional. It's the biggest purchase of people's lives. And there is a emotional capacity that you have to have as somebody that's involved in the transaction, willingness to, take a hit on a fee to get a deal done, willingness to not take no for an answer and overcome a challenging situation with lending initiatives, transferring to other opportunities, and all sorts of crazy things that happen behind the scenes once a deal goes under contract that people don't see that have to be done to get a deal done. So I think, like you said, it's the agents that are utilizing AI and being on the cutting edge of technology. What current uses of AI and technology would you say are making the most significant impact in the business in general that you see, or maybe in your personal business?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many that we have because it feels like every single facet of the transaction is now an opportunity for us to continue to get better. I constantly treat real estate like a game of golf, right? I'm not comparing myself to my fellow agent or to the people that have come before me or may come after me. It's constantly just trying to better myself and be the best version that I can be, not only for the clients that I serve, but for the agents that depend on me to be the best version of myself that I can be. So I think to answer your question when it comes to the AI that we utilize, it's being able to help clients all across the country with the real estate transaction from tip to tip. That starts with the 3D tours and the AI staging that we utilize. So through our partnership with Zillow, we have access to something that only the top % of any given market has access to, which is Zillow Showcase, which not only gives our clients and our sellers the opportunity to get more exposure across Zillow platforms, but also give buyers more accessibility to the property with the 3D tour, and also the ability to AI stage a property based on 9 different types of staging and stylistic design that people like, including vacating the property. There's a lot of listings that we see on the market that have furniture left over from the sellers. There may be sellers that are still living there, and potentially have it overcrowded, have a lot of pictures of their family. So it makes it difficult for today's buyer to be able to feel like they're shopping for a house and not shopping for someone else's house or walking into a stranger's home. So having the capability to change it from a mid-century modern style design to something that's maybe a little bit more Scandinavian or Gothic, or just to remove the furniture altogether and really get a feel for what the space looks like as a clean slate is something that's really exciting and useful.
I agree with you 100%. I think that the AI that Dylan is talking about is marketing AI, it's listing AI, it's what we can utilize to help reimagine properties to help get them sold faster. And there's, like you said, all different pieces of the transaction. There's AI that can replace transaction coordinators and actually follow along the entire transaction process and send emails, text messages, follow up, schedule inspections, do all sorts of the monotonous tasks, the repetitive tasks, the mundane, the things that we have to do every single day that can be replaced by automations and AI. So we're seeing a lot of that, especially in following up with customers, because interesting points that I've noticed in the last couple of years. Back in 2021, you said COVID when you started, you could call somebody a couple times and they'd be ready to move on something. Interest rates are 2.9, boom, you get a deal. Right? You could throw anything at the wall and make it stick. The average contact point to have a customer work with you back then was about 7. Now, in 2026, the Fed chair meeting just happened. Rates are going up a little bit. It looks like on the horizon they kept rates unchanged, but it looks like bond market is reacting. It's a lot more difficult to have that conversation. There's a lot of objections. There's a lot of concessions, renegotiations, people cutting fees and things like that just to get deals done right now. And the average contact point now to get somebody to work with you is over 20. And a lot of times as agents, we don't have the time in our day with everything that we're doing to contact and follow up with a customer 20 times to earn their business. And that's another really amazing thing that AI that we've been utilizing to be able to continually build our real estate business is AI that continues to follow up with the customer, check in with them. Do they need searches updated? Do they need to look at new properties? Texting them updates on listings. And it's happening in our pipeline, in our system, and it's re-engaging customers, and it's bringing all sorts of new opportunities. Is that something that you ever imagined that you'd be utilizing whenever you first got into real estate?
No, and honestly, that was one of the biggest challenges too, was, not only how I can serve my clients at the highest level, but how can I also do that while still being able to scale up my business and increase the amount of people that I'm able to interact with on a daily basis and help. And I really have to say that the biggest part of Follow Up Boss that I use and that I depend on a daily basis is the automatic call recording and call transcript generation. Just allows me to be so much more present in my conversations, because I very much have an ADHD mind. It's constantly going at 1,000 miles an hour, and there's
I think every real estate agent does.
you have to, honestly, be able to have a couple dozen balls in the air at any given moment. And really what it comes down to is being able to, like I said, be present in the conversations that you're having and not have to worry about constantly switching back and forth between I'm taking notes on the conversation. And as being in real estate, it's a 24/7 business, and we're constantly on the go. So as I'm leaving one appointment and heading to another one, and I'm getting in touch with 3 or 4 different clients that I'm serving actively at that point, I know that I have my CRM working in the back end, not only to keep track of my conversations and identify the key points, but also create tasks for me that I can utilize to create more consistency inside my business and make it easier for me to be able to scale while still serving the clients at the highest level and not having to sacrifice that level of service that my past clients and my future clients deserve and have come to expect.
Yeah. So we're talking about scale quite a bit. I heard you say scale a couple of times. Tell me, what are your goals for the future? What are you looking to accomplish here in 2026 and maybe going into 2027 and beyond?
Yeah, I always think that it's extremely important to make smart goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specific, measurable, always making sure that we're creating goals that aren't just completely open-ended, but
Mm-hmm.
making sure that it's something that is actually achievable and
Attainable.
something that we
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
track. So, for me, I think it's just a daily goal of when I'm, tucking myself into bed at night, having that clear mind and clear conscience that I did everything that I could, not only to push my business forward, serve my clients at the highest level, but, improving myself and pouring back into my agents to make sure that they're able to, serve their clients at the highest level, and also in a very highly competitive industry, stay on the cutting edge of technology and service mindset that's going to
Mm-hmm.
set them apart from their fellow agents across all different platforms, whether it's face-to-face, social media, or the virtual tours that we constantly do with buyers and
Absolutely.
sellers all across the country.
If you could leave the audience with one thing today, actually, let's do both sides of the coin. Um, Audience members that are real estate agents, leave them with something. People that are in the real estate business, and then maybe those that are looking to buy or sell real estate. What would you say to those folks?
Honestly, for both buyers and sellers and agents, it's about never settling, right? It's always, pushing forward, pushing the envelope on what can be done and what's achievable, because you never know what it is that you can accomplish until you accomplish it. And then, just like Bryce and I, then once you achieve those goals, it's about continuing to push forward and set higher goals and higher goals.
Absolutely.
In the one-on-ones that I do with my agents on a weekly and bi-weekly basis, I always like to ask them what they think they can accomplish in the next week or 2 weeks before we have their meeting again. And then I always like to raise the bar and set it higher, so that way they're never settling and becoming complacent in their business, because I think once you become complacent, then that's when you get, lapped in this
Absolutely.
industry and in this business. So I think
Awesome.
that's the biggest part.
I think that's very wise advice. And Dylan, if anybody out here would like to contact you, how can they reach you?
Get in touch with me directly. My personal cell phone number is 407-341-4078. It's got 407 in there twice, which is my hometown, the city that I'm from. And connect with me on social media as well, too. I'm very, very present on Instagram. I'm on it just like everybody else our age. I'm on it just about every single day. So follow me on Instagram, dylanclark.904. I absolutely love this area, and I love getting the opportunity to connect with future buyers and sellers, homeowners, people that are just thinking about whether real estate is the right fit for them when it comes to owning property, and just having that opportunity to create generational wealth and to really touch and affect people's lives in the highest possible level. I think the sales mantra always goes, you get paid to the level of the problem that you're able to solve.
Absolutely.
And when we're able to solve such a high level need for people, I think that gap between the haves and the have-nots in the future will constantly be decided by those that own real estate and those that are renting. So if you feel like you're stuck renting, or you're maybe not sure what you can afford when it comes to a property, reach out to me. Let's put together a game plan. It may be a little bit closer than you think.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on our very first episode of Buzz on Real Estate. Dylan Clark is absolutely the man. You can reach out to him at any time if you have any questions. I am your host, Broker Bryce, owner of Coldwell Banker Anabasis. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode on Buzz on Real Estate, and I'll catch you at the next one.